Take two, brother.
Let's gloss over that last episode 23 was very short, and this is episode 23.5. Anyway, how's it going, guys? How's it going, G?
Chilling, man, chilling. I am looking forward to this episode because who do we have, man?
We have a guest. We have another guest. We have one of our this is actually, we discussed a few weeks ago, having clients on the podcast. And he's our first client guest on the podcast. He's a client of mine. His name is Hemel. And lucky enough to have worked with him for a long time. Lucky enough to know him more personally, even outside of training. And he's about to kick off our wave of client guests. So without any further ado, let's get him in the podcast. Let's hear what he has to say.
Here he is. We have Bubble Butt Brown.
Hey, gents. How is it going?
Oh, it's going great. I can hear you, which is fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. Like, basically, what happened was we started recording, and then Umar's sound just went out. Don't know what the hell happened. And we were just sitting there for 2 minutes going, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? It was like, let's just start again, man.
Worst start to a podcast ever, but it's okay. We figured it out.
Exactly. It's all good.
Hemel, welcome, man.
Thank you, guys. It feels like quite an honor. So thank you very much, Umar, for asking me to join. When you did message me saying, I want you to join the podcast, I was smiling the entire day.
Yeah. Amazing. No, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. Tell us about the origin of Bubble Butt Brown.
So Bubble Butt Brown, or the fact that I used to get called Bubble Butt at university, was quite a bit, because I literally had a bubble butt.
You started off the trend.
I started off the trend. So, and it also had to do with a number of my dance moves. So I'm just saying, and the fact that I was all up, in the sense of it took up most of my body. So that's where Bubble Butt comes from. And if some of my university friends decide to listen to this, they'll probably crack up. But yeah, and my girlfriend and a few other friends says, Hemel, you need to get your ass back. Like, seriously, you need to start getting that ass back. So, clearly I didn't realize it's quite impactful.
Dude, it's an asset, man. There's so many people would kill to have that.
That's why I thought, Bubble Butt is kind of a good way in.
Yeah, why not, amazing. Man? Why not? We're always happy to hear like guests have his random ass things. Everyone has his random ass things, right? Got to bring him forward, man. Got to bring him forward. This is super fun.
That's too funny. So what would you like? Was it like were you quite big, or did you really slim? Like, were you always slim but just had a big ass and then lost the ass? Like, what's the story here?
So I'm sure you guys are familiar with skinny fat, right? So I think I was the perfect definition of someone that was skinny fat.
Right.
I think growing up, I was what I ate, which was a potato. So I constantly ate potatoes. I was a really good Gujarati boy that ate potatoes and more potatoes. So it was just that was me. I think over time, then I changed a lot of my habits and diets and foods, and started to actually exercise, work out. So my body changed with that, and my whole personality, lifestyle choices also changed. But I think that's where that first start came in terms of what I was and who I am.
I can't believe it's been this long, bro. I've been knowing you for like 4.5, nearly 5 years. I've never known that you were called Bubble Butt your entire life. That's it. All our sessions now. You're not gonna get called Hemel ever again. Never. I'm gonna forget that name now.
It's like Mr. Hems sometimes.
Yeah, Mr. Hems.
Yeah. I get that one.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's the one. I like Hems. I like it. Hemel's name is just cool. It sounds like, to me, it sounds like some kind of some king in Lord of the Rings. Hemel, it's just some there's actually a thing, some like mine or something, some mine in Lord of the Rings. I swear it's called like Hemel mine or something. I remember hearing like the mythology or whatever. The first time I heard his name, I was like, that's a sick name. That's a really cool name. So there you go, bro. There you go.
I'll definitely look into that, because all I've heard is Hemel Hempstead, and other than that,
yeah.
That's too easy. That's too boring.
That's it. Yeah, man. Bubble Butt is there. That's it. No more Hemel. No more Hemel. Bubble butt now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, that's gonna go down on the goals, right? Like Umar's just scratched all your other goals now. He's like, okay, we're working on bubble butt. We're bringing that back.
I actually showed Hemel my massive board over here. I'm going to tell you guys to see it. So this is
Yeah, nice.
my like planning board over here, and Hemel was on
Oh,
there
wicked.
in. You could probably freeze frame that and have a look at some of the things I've been writing. But Hemel's on
Yeah.
there in. He was most recent client on there, so I can change those goals now to just grow that ass. That's it. That's all that's going to go on there.
Yeah.
Done.
What Hemel, what triggered your change? Like from being a potato to sorting that shit out, basically.
So, like, I'll go through a bit of about me. So, I grew up in London. So, and I was lucky enough to be brought up by my grandparents, my parents. I have some sisters, so I had a really good family support network. But I had, as I mentioned, a lot of sisters. So I was like the only guy there. So growing up, I didn't really have any interest in sports or anything like that. It was really difficult for me to even start playing it. I would start playing, probably run out of breath. I think I realized I was trying to compete with certain people that were just natural athletes or able to do it, and that wasn't me. So I'd give up. And that's pretty much what I did. And then I think towards around 17, 18, I realized that, okay, I want to make a bit of a difference. So in the way I look and feel, really on a day-to-day basis, like I didn't feel good about myself in the way I was. And I think it was something that I then ended up working really hard and just spent a lot of time working. So I found myself a job, and my first job was working in a bakery, which suited me to the ground. So for those that know me, like I literally loved working in my bakery. At the age of 15 and 3/4, I was running the place. So I'd go in, I'd have the keys, I would go in, I start the baking, the bread, the baguettes. Like I was able to make like 250 baguettes in like the space of 2 to 3 hours. Like that's how many we do, like send them out. And we had fun, like, and it was great. But it helped me mask some of my insecurities in terms of food. So I continued it, and after that, I managed to get my job in banking, and I then secured a really good job in banking. Started being a cashier, and then throughout university, I had that job. So whilst other people were struggling with certain financial debts or living that student life, I didn't have a problem of just going to work, and yes, I had that regular stream of income coming in, so it was fine.
Nice.
And then as soon as I finished off university at 21, I became a branch manager. So position of responsibility, quite young. I looked young. I still can't grow facial hair. So it's been something that I just fell into and pressurized to do. And that happened, and I realized that actually I wanted to change from retail front end banking, and I moved into management consultancy, and actually that's where it stemmed. And then I think with management consultancy, I kind of let myself go even further, where I let the stress take over me. So I didn't really spend much time with.
Let's keep going on. You to be right back. Carry on.
I just ate my way through it, or worked until like 10, 15 hours, really inefficiently, I would say, actually. And then I think there was this pivotal point where one of my friends decided to go backpacking. And he came up with this whole approach of going Southeast Asia, South America, came up with this whole trip. And I was about 26 at this time. And I said, all right, I want to join you. And it was like the biggest shock ever. Like, this is the guy that was like, had everything structured, woke up every morning at 7:30. I had a gym membership. I paid a lot of money for it, never went. And it was just like, that was all the structure. I had the intention of going, but then I'll be like, no, works comes first. Got to get in. So I ended up I would actually be in my kit of the gym, but I'll drop my bag in the office at 7:30, and then I'll start and realize, actually, do you know what? I'm going to just start working. So then I'll just change again, and then just continue working, and I'll work until like 11 o'clock at night, come back. And I think the change happened where I was like, no, do you know what? I want a bit of myself. I was like, oh, am I going to find myself? I don't know. And then I flipped the trip, and we decided to go to South America. And I backpacked all over South America. Absolutely loved it. And I think the first pivotal moment for me, or where something changed, was when I had to do a hike in a really hot scenario. It was in Santa Marta, which is in Colombia. I've never, as I mentioned, I've never done anything strenuous. I'd never really gone outside of my comfort zone, and I decided to do about a 50-kilometer hike in real heat. And it was probably still to this day one of the toughest things I've done. My legs would cramp every 2 minutes. I would like drink water and I'll just sweat it out straight away. But the amount.
Tell us how hot it was.
It was like I think it was around must be about 30 degrees Celsius, and then up from there, and then it went through all weathers. Like it was
Okay. Wow.
like it was ridiculous.
That's
And
intense.
it was like, and sometimes it'll rain, so there'll be like, I'm 6'2", I think, and there'll be mud up until my hip. So
Wow.
your foot, if you get it the wrong place, your foot's on the side, and it's raining, so you're slipping, and I'll be like holding on to the sides of it. It was safe, but obviously for me, like my balance wasn't the best. Like I would start cramping. But I think the biggest thing that I learned through that process was the amount of support I got. I think that's the first time I realized that I'm not in competition with others. I'm not in competition with myself. People are there along the journey. So yes, I may have been slow. There were people slower than me. There were a lot of people faster than me, but it didn't matter. It was there for the fun. And we were literally just like, if somebody went down, we would help them. We would get back up and we'd continue to hike. If I wanted to rest a bit, it was just great. It was a brand new experience to me. It's not something that I ever even thought that I would be able to do. So that was the first time, I think, that was the ta-da moment that something can change.
Yeah. That's amazing, because it's like that, just like one experience, and it's just it sounds something small because you're with people and they're helping you out, and it's like it doesn't sound like such a big deal, but it is a big deal in the context of everything that it means to you going from that.
Yeah, like even I think that the bit that I dreaded, so the friend that I went with, he's like super athletic and he loved all these challenges. And I think this is the bit that I dreaded was, am I going to be able to do that? And even like the fear that I had going on the hike, during the hike, and then finishing that end feeling that I have, I still remember to this day. And sometimes that's probably one of my most joyous occasions. But you're right. It's that whole process of going through it, and the support that you get through it is just phenomenal. And you can apply it to lots of things. You can apply it to the coaching that I get through Umar. You can apply it through the way that I'm even at work as well. So I think that story was the bit that I realized that support can be found through lots of different ways. And then continued my traveling. I did 2 further hikes. I did Machu Picchu, which is the Inca Trail. And I then went down south to Argentina, where I did the W Trek. So that was where you like hike in snow and stuff. And I think that was my first ever moment of I can do something. And even if it's a bit of a struggle or it takes a bit longer, it's fine. You continue it. Then I got back from my travels for 4 months, and it wasn't just hiking, guys. It was a lot of like Rio Carnival is something that I recommend. I heard you guys are single guys, so definitely go there at some point. It's not safe right now, but explore those areas. I partied hard. I enjoyed myself.
Go there to get a different kind of infection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's something. And then I came back. And I was literally back to my job, and hours started creeping up again. And I said to myself that, right, I have it in me to now change. I have it in me. What am I going to do? And I went through about a couple of PTs, and I tried to look up who do I want to train. And I think Umar's mentioned this in a number of podcasts around ultimate performance. It literally sells you that dream body. It tells you, you go in for 12 weeks, you go in and you will get results. It's got a proven track. And I said, right, that's what I need and that's what I want. And I went in and Umar's there, and I still remember certain days. They haunt me sometimes. But it was that, I think with Umar, it's just the humbleness. It's like he got in, he got it in straight away, and he got into my head, which was, at that set of time, I just wanted to get shredded. I didn't want to learn in that sense. And there were times when he would take me, that door in between the pendulum, Umar. You know exactly the one I'm talking about in City, where he'll take me and he'll just literally be like, "If you don't care, just get out." And I think
Right.
it was that. It was the point of that was also, and I'll talk about this, where Umar was. He signed up to work for UP. I signed up to work for UP, and UP
Yes.
was about results.
Sorry to jump in, Hemel. Unfortunately, I'm having some really bad technical difficulties today. My charger isn't working for my iPad. Keep going, keep talking. I'm going to find it, and if it cuts me out, I'll come back in. All right, carry on.
Yeah,
Carry
all right.
on. Really sorry,
Cool,
guys. I'm going to drop out, but I'll come back in.
All right, man.
Hopefully, this is the bit where I wanted him to pitch in as well, because it's a
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll work it out. But and I signed up for it, and I got a decent transformation. It gave me a solid foundation. I knew what I was doing when I was working with him. I would end up hosting barbecues. So another massive passion I have is cooking. So I would host barbecues, but I would sit there with my own containers of chicken and veg,
Right.
and that's all pre-cooked, whilst everybody else is eating a load of meals. They
That's
thought
respect,
I was
man.
insane. People thought I was
Yeah.
crazy, and I there were times when I thought I was crazy.
Right.
But yeah, I did that for, I think I ended up doing that for 16 weeks. I got the results I wanted. And I'm really grateful for that, because I think it gave me the bit of saying, once again, my second bit of like, yes, this can happen. Years went on, and then I continued, and this is where we started saying like lockdown happened again. And through that period, I actually did hire a few other trainers through that time, not with them. And I can now look back and explain, like, some of them I'm with that I will say, oh, fantastic, and whatever reasons. But the others reasons was I actually think some of them were shit. I didn't get what I wanted out of them, and I knew that the standard that I get from UP at the time was not something that you can get from others.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff that I could say, like, if there's personal trainers out there, is not even knowing where. So, for example, bits where I know that where others have failed, where I know that Umar picks up, is I've had injuries in my shoulder. Others just masked it and said, you know what, let's not worry about that. Let's leave that to one side, and we just continue training. But clearly that's not going to work. Whereas,
exactly.
and I'll talk about the way we've been training recently at home. And it's just gone through, I've just gone through cycles where I hated the gym. And I said that I hated the gym in the sense of I would go in there and I wouldn't be bothered. My mind wanders. I'd go in there, yes, okay, I'm doing this exercise, but I'm not interested in the exercise. So that's why I felt like I needed a coach. So I needed a PT on there. So I tried to do it with myself. I tried to go with my friends. And one of my friends that used to say to me, Hemel, just shut the fuck up. Stop talking about food whilst we're training. Like, I just was not interested, and I couldn't get into the zone. And that's what used to happen to me when I trained alone. Moving on from that, just before lockdown, I said to my girlfriend here, I was like, I really want to be able to learn. Like, I think that's where I was like, I want to learn. I want to have that freedom of going to the gym where I'm confident and being able to say that I'm actually enjoying myself and I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's where I think Umar comes in. And I called him and we were messaging and whatever. And the first training session we had, it was completely different. So it was, whilst Umar's always been humble, he knows his stuff, but him training me this time was completely different because we spoke about it. And his first question to me was, how did you sleep? I was like, why is he asking me about my sleep? I was like I slept fine, thank you. Like that's literally my result. And even to this day, he asks me, the first question when we train is, how was your sleep? And I'll be like, oh, actually, it was restless, or actually, it wasn't good. And now I started realizing myself that question he asked me was, so I start realizing, actually, how am I sleeping? Am I getting enough hours in? Am I being restless? Because that is going to impact the way we're going to train today. So those are little things. We spent loads of times breathing. We did lots of different breathing exercises. And to this day now, from going from home, I've started training a bit at the gym. I can actually see a big bit of a difference, and we can discuss that in a bit. And then we did like just feelings and moving, so holding my core. I think and maybe others will go through this or not, but I still sometimes don't know how to hold my core. I'll be in an exercise and I'll realize that I've lost it. And actually, like to say, for example, trying to build on my butt, it's not going to work if I don't hold my core and I'm doing a lunge. I know that I can, whether the weight is light or medium heavyweight, my legs can cope with that. I've got enough weight, but I can't do the lunge because I'm not holding the exercise. I'm not in it from an end-to-end perspective. So I think that's where the biggest bit around learning has come in. And I think the second highlight with Umar, I'm going through this quite fast, but we'll go through it again, is his learning. Like the best one I think is the bent over row, where for the life of me I couldn't get it, and I think it was frustrating Umar, it was frustrating me in a positive way, but I just couldn't get it. I couldn't not bend my lower back. I couldn't keep my lower back and my upper back different. So I think we decided to have a lesson on Sunday where we both spent and Umar spent an hour just explaining to me how to do a bent over row. And we took out books, we took out feet, like we sat down, we explained like these are the muscles, these are the bones. And it's not like we went straight into it. We tried for like 3 or 4 sessions and these are weeks and stuff. And then he went away and he worked out, how am I going to teach Hemel learn how to do a bent over row? It's important to me, it's important to him. And I don't know how you actually ended up coming up with the idea, and maybe you can explain it to us. But now I can do a bent over row.
Yeah.
That and plenty more, man. That and plenty more.
Yeah, and I think it's the willingness to teach and the willingness to learn. I think that's the bit that I'm now in the phase of. I don't want a 12-week or an 18-week transformation. I want something that I can actually sit there and be like, okay, I get it. If there's now an exercise where I'm doing, and I might even get to the second or third set, and then I'll say to Umar, I didn't feel anything. And I don't know whether I'll be like, I actually don't know what it is. And we start all over again. Or we'll decide, are we going to go up a weight? And I'll openly say, no, because I don't know if my form was right. I don't know if, and he'll say, actually, Hemel, I know you can do more, but I want to double check the way you're doing it. Are you sure? And I feel then the quizzes happen. Where did you feel it? And I'm like, where did I feel it? And I'll actually even have to ask myself. And then I realize that sometimes I'm not in the zone. I don't remember. And I'll actually openly say, I don't remember, let's do it again. And I'll actually concentrate to figure out where I felt it.
Yeah.
So I think this is where we're at now. And we're seeing different levels of progression in different ways. So for example, my shoulder is something that we've really worked on in terms of mobility. We've realized that I've struggled with certain areas in terms of hip mobility. So we've really worked on that. And now, we're getting into the lunges. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I also know that my butt and my legs are my asset. So I need to work at it. But yeah, that's where we're at now. And it's had a massive positive impact to the way I'm working. I think even over the last couple of months, I've had WhatsApp messages from colleagues saying, Hemel, you've really taken on more. Like at work, like I've genuinely taken on more, because before I was afraid on how much I would take on. And I'm taking on more in terms of giving other people direction, telling others that, okay, no, I think we should do this. And I think it all stems from the positivity and the energy that I get outside of work and what I'm getting through my boss as well at work, who I also see as one of my mentors and my coaches. And it's about saying, actually, I've got all of this stuff happening physically, mentally, and well-being wise that has really got me to where I'm at now, which is I'm in a pretty happy state.
Amazing, man.
I'm sorry for missing most of that, guys. That's on me. How is the audio on my side?
You're whacking the headphones.
They're not working with the laptop. This is like I turn one way, I'm getting denied. I'm turned the other way, and my iPad's not charging for some weird reason. Even with the right charger now. So having a few last minute pop-ups. Are we good to carry on with no headphones?
Yeah, let's just do it. Let's see what happens. Yeah.
I think it goes back to pre-preparing Umar, myself.
There you go. That's it. You're right, man.
We were talking about the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you're pretty good. It's the 20%, but I think actually it's 95-5. You're advocating it. We know that. And this is another time that I'm publicly telling you, You need to cut that bit out, mate.
You're totally right. You're totally right. You know what I need? This at the end of this week. This is the kick up the pants that I need, right? Because I'm going to go out and buy a pair of headphones, which are just for the podcast. I'm going to go out and buy a charger, which actually works for my iPad, which isn't just a last minute charger. I really do apologize, because egg on the face brown should be my new name. Egg on the face brown, not this crystal clear brown rubbish. But, anyway, I digress. That's a really interesting story, man. There's even when you start telling it early part of that, there's a lot that I didn't hear properly. But your travel stories, who you were before we actually started training. I wanna cycle it back down to that a little bit, if we could. And I think G actually asked you, why did you come in the first place? And I assume you went into that. I didn't actually catch that bit. So could you go over that for me a little bit?
So I think the why was, why did I start training with you? Is that the
Or just in general, personal training, going to the gym? You can recount it all the way back to there.
Yeah, so I think the why came in from the fact that I didn't want to continue living my life the way I was, in the sense of the pressure and not being able to control it. I think going into the gym was a bit of a fear. I knew that I didn't have an interest in sports, so me trying to play football is not something that's going to happen overnight. Me trying to go into a gym is something that I knew that there was that ability. I knew that that's something that I wanted to do, and something that I just didn't know how to. And I knew that if I surround myself with people that do know how, maybe I'll get there. And then I realized that actually it goes back to it's certain friends have really helped me, certain ones that it just didn't work, it didn't click. And I think it then also even trainers, and I explained earlier, Umar, that I've had trainers in between when we worked at UP and after, and it didn't work either, because certain trainers wanted to train more athletic folks. They didn't have the interests of people like me. So it was really difficult because we just didn't connect. And I think the why was like, I now want to do this because I want to have that better lifestyle. I want to be the silver fox with hair by 40. Like that's literally what, and it's something that I think I want to achieve. Like I didn't get it when I was younger. I wasn't in a physical state where, and this is more like physical, emotional, or the power of that knowledge bit when I was younger. But that's okay. It's fine, and I've accepted that. It's about now, what do I want to do over the next few years of my life, and where do I want to be? And I think I was joking around with my friends, and I think I mentioned this to you, Umar, as well, is that I always hear my friends complaining about knee pain. And I said to them, that's your fault for playing football when you were kids. If you're a fat fucker like me, when I was younger, my knees were just unused. So right now, they're perfect. So they're ready to be conditioned. So they're ready to go for the sprints. They're ready to do all that stuff. So I'm not suffering like you guys.
I love that. That's
shouldn't have been so athletic.
Yeah, exactly. That's all your fault.
But do you know what? There's a story within that story, because what you're really saying is that you should just be educated toward your body before you start using it properly. Yeah. And that's the foundation on which we create our current relationship. Like you've come to me with the want and the desire to learn about your body, and then that creates in me a want and a desire to go and find out your answers. You know what I mean? And that's the best thing. That's the way this relationship has to work. Like personal trainers, you can put that, I'm just your personal teacher within this respect. Like you've come to a personal teacher who has done years in the gym, so therefore I have experience there. Sometimes that experience isn't always the best thing for the person in front of me, but the fact that you've come forward with that want and with that desire, it just stems. It makes me go forward and learn about it. You know what I mean? And that's the best thing about this relationship, is that you're such an avid learner, and that's the best. You're always asking questions. We're always like you explained earlier about breaking out the textbook when it came to breaking down a bent over row. And that was for me one of my favorite sessions I've ever delivered, because I learned that I learned this phrase like disassociation from Jordan Shallow on the prescript level 1 course, which G's now doing. And he was talking about it in respects to breathing, and then he kind of went on to talk about it in the respects to disassociate this part of your spine with this part of your spine. So basically this can be doing something while this is doing something totally different. And it was with the intention of making sure your shoulders can fully function, your upper back can fully function in a bent over row. So we're not just kind of stuck in a position, we're actually able to round and extend and flex and extend while we do the exercise. And it's quite a skill, man. It's quite a skill, like kind of having to be able to break one thing down from the other, especially when it's such a convention for you to hold yourself in one position, only be in that position and spend your day, your night, your life, your eating, your sleeping, everything in that same position. But then someone to come along and be like, oh, no, just stop doing that. Wow, I can't do that. And that's why it did take us time. It did take us time to break apart those things. But again, all the ingredients are there. It's just a matter of cooking time. You know what I mean? And now you're done. You know what I mean? The oven's gone ping, and Hemel can bust it out every day of the week. And it doesn't matter what exercise it's in. Whether it's a chest supported row, whether it's a single arm pull down, whether it's a bent over row, whether it's double dumbbell bent over row, which we'll progress onto. Now that movement pattern is instilled. You know what I mean? That the thought process is there. And again, like you said, with a lot of these things, it doesn't matter about time. This is such a thing I really want to get away from with any kind of future projects I have with regards to training people or anything in that realm. Time is such a distraction for people because it's like, 16 weeks, clock's ticking. I best understand this by the end of this session, otherwise I'm going to get my money back. It's like, well, do you want to understand this? Well, then we have to work at the rate at which we understand things. And obviously that's partly on me to explain things well and use my words and actually be able to converse with you in a way that is on your level. But really it's also on your part to be an avid learner like you are and actually ask questions and actually be interested and be fully present and fully in the room, which I think if a lot of people out there listening to this can judge themselves across those same criteria, sometimes they're missing, and sometimes it can go against your progress in any of these things you're trying to learn. So yeah, it's fun to get to work with somebody like you. 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you, Umar. And I think the learning bit is really important, and stuff like handing over the baton at the right time. So I think recently, I give you an example as well, that what we've handed over is I count my own reps. So I've taken a notebook into the gym. I write down what was my kilos of weight. I write down how many sets I've done it. And it's not because Uma's not doing it. It's because he's trying to get me equipped for going independent. He's trying to make sure that I start getting accountable for it, because he's noticed that actually I do rely on him all the time to say, how many was that? Where am I? And I think these are little things where it's like, if I don't start getting accountable to it now, then I will get lost again. And this is the bits where I think it's really important, is knowing, and I didn't even realize that you were doing this, but knowing when to transition certain steps to, and it's like a teacher in a school. You're not always going to do everything for them. At some point in time, you have to hand stuff over. And I think that's just absolutely been phenomenal for me. As you can see, like I've got my notepad all ready for it. But yeah, no, that's been really good.
Makes me super happy, man. Makes me super happy. Go on, G.
That's what it's all about, because at the end of the day, it's your body. You got to be able to learn how to take care of yourself. And as you've shown us as well, it's not just about your body. It's about your mental state. It's about your well-being. It's about how you're operating in life. So you start to get the grounding for that in the gym, because that's a place where you've learned how to challenge yourself. And then without you realizing it, you started to apply that for the rest of your life, and where other people have come to you and be like, oh man, I can see that you're really leveling up, and that's an incredible thing, where you haven't even put yourself out there in that regard for those people. You're just doing you now, but you're doing you better as a result of all the stuff you've picked up in the gym, and the bigger stuff that comes from that, and it's affecting your environment more than you even realize.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. That's brilliant for sure, man. For sure. And you touched on something when I was having my earlier episode. You were talking about time at UP, and there's two things I want to touch on. Firstly, that if you could cycle back to it a little bit, just a bit about your experience, and I wanted to interject with a few comments and just have a bit of dialogue about that. And then you also touched on this vision of yourself in the future, and I want to touch on that because that ties into my name. And we're going to get onto Leopard, bro. I'm noticing a trend with some animals here, bro. Black Panther a couple of weeks ago, and Leopard this week. So we got to unpack that too. So
inspired by nature, man.
I like it. We're going to get into that as well. If I could steer it back to UP a little bit, the last thing I remember you talking about was Yeah, basically, just go back into that for me. Go back into unpacking that. Are you talking about how selling you the dream? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think UP's. I went into UP because I wanted a result. At the end of UP, I wanted to look like that picture on that magazine, and somebody sold me that, and they were saying that I'm able to do it. I look back and I remember actually on my transformation, I got like a 6 to me out of 10, by the way, and they rank it like based on lots of different ways. For me, it was a 10 out of 10
Right.
in the sense of my transformation. If you look at it personally from what I've explained in terms of my story, I've not really went to the gym. I didn't really play. I didn't even know how to do half the exercises. So for me, I actually achieved more. But on paper, if you look at the actual physicalness or the achievement on the end of it, when you're trying to compare me with people that are either former athletes that have gone back in to do a transformation, or somebody with a bit of a core, yes, clearly they're going to do that transformation. So I think going back into UP and Umar, the way we trained is you trained me in order to get those results. It was about getting in, screaming, shouting, and that environment was there. It was like you signed up to get your clients' results. I signed up that I wanted results. There was learning, absolutely. I'm not saying that there wasn't any learning in there, but it was more around I've spent this whole commitment in trying to achieve that. So if the exercise didn't work for me, it was just like either we would not overlook it, we'll adapt it, but we'll still do the exercise. So that pendulum was something that we always had to do. And like we said, there was a time limit because there was those restrictions and those cores. So now I look at it, would I do something like that again? Probably not. It's not something that I would do, but am I grateful that I did it? Absolutely. Because I was in that moment of I was in the moment of I can do something different. I can change something. And at that time, I did want it time box. So I think that's where I was. And there was been a big difference in terms of the way you train. I think you always know your stuff, right? But even the way you're approaching me now to the way you're approaching me then, it's because we're different results. We have completely different goals. And one thing that I've got to say is you've adapted me as your client to achieve my two different goals. I was there trying to get myself. I wasn't in the mode of trying to learn. I was more interested in what that magazine was going to look like, or am I going to achieve it? And I wasn't there if I didn't understand a bent over row. Then I think what you probably would have done is just not got me to do the exercise. If I'd taken it, you would have just been like right, let's just adapt it because of that time.
Yeah. It's really interesting, man. It's really interesting because you've unpacked that so well in regards to the mindset of the person walking in through the door, and that's why that place is unbelievably successful. Is because the majority of the mindsets of the people that walk through the door are that they want to come in, smash for the hour, and then see you later. See you in a day of recovery, a day of rest. Come back in again, smash for the hour again, and along the way. A lot of people get very fantastic results, but along the way, I'd say a lot of people get led through the result rather than get taught about how to empower themselves, educate themselves, and actually go about it. And then obviously that's varying for different people. I'm not going to paint them with the same brush and say every client walks out without any education, because some people are, like you said, they just come in with a different background, come in with less stress, more stress, and you've got to be able to pivot on the spot as a coach to impart more knowledge, or even don't, or pull back, or just say nothing at all and just say, good, get on the gym floor, we're gonna crash the bus for a whole hour, and we're gonna leave with the result we came in mind with. And then it's really interesting with someone like yourself, because you were one of the people who was responsible for me changing as a coach, and that I'm saying it now, I'm becoming very much more aware of it, because when you came in, I knew that approach was wrong for you. I knew that me pushing you would leave you with a result, quote unquote result, but it wouldn't leave you fulfilled as a human being. You know what I mean? And that was the thing that I was always wanting to do, was through your time with me, forget I'm a personal trainer, forget I'm a trainer, forget I'm working for a company or whatever. I just wanted your time with me to equal the best result for you. And I knew at an intuitive level that what I was giving you wasn't going to be what you needed. You know what I mean? It wasn't a case of get on the leg press or the row or the bench press or the chest supported, whatever, and actually take this guy to failure. Because he doesn't need to be taken to failure. He just needs to be talked to in a manner that empowers him, makes him feel confident, makes him feel calm, makes him feel in control. You know what I mean? And that was such an eye opener for me, because I was a young coach at the time, and I was about to I was currently indoctrinating myself entirely. Like the way I described UP for me was, I got to the door, I left my bags and said, "Teach me everything you know." And I didn't want to hold on to anything of my own coming in. Like all my colors stripped, everything, just make me UP. And I was captain UP for a long time. Like, that's why I got moved to Mayfair as their head coach, to go and teach these guys how to do their jobs. That was sometimes how it was defined to me, was go and be the shouty, screamy guy over there, because you're good at doing it here. And I'd take some of that energy over there. And it was really interesting, because clients like yourself taught me that not everybody is a nail, and I don't always need to be a hammer. You know what I mean? I can talk to you. I can pull you aside, like we talked about some of the discussions we had. Really, really interesting, man. Really interesting, and it's allowed me to be much more effective for other clients as well.
I completely agree with that. I think the biggest example is, if I'm getting ready to do some weights, aggression doesn't work for me. Getting angry isn't going to work for me. Getting calm is. Being in the state of, don't worry about it, like chill the fuck out, chill out, like go on, do it. And I don't know why I'm swearing, because I don't swear. But like actually just chill and do the.
Now you're getting angry.
Yeah, exactly. But that's now what we've adapted to, because that's what works for me. And that whole aggression side of it, maybe it will change. I don't know. But these are little things that I think that once you start picking up, for me, that's really what's working. And I can start seeing some of this longevity of where I come in and I sometimes send videos of the way I'm training to Umar when I train alone. And it would be, I'll be like, let me know if the form's right. And he'll just send me back saying, "I'm so happy right now." And it's only because it's like everything that he's put the effort in, everything that I've put the effort in is coming to fruition. So I know that he posted my stretch push. I was delighted upon that. The amount, I was, because it's not something that I was able to do. It's not something that I felt that I was ever good at. I didn't even know when I was recording it whether I was doing it right. But then to come back and saying, right, actually, Hemel, you smashed it, is a great feeling. And it's something that now every time we've done this push, Umar, since then, it's just not even since it, but just in general, it's progression. And it's helping me with this exercise and other exercises as well, because that's what I have to relate back to.
100%, man. 100%. Yeah, it's great to see, man. It's great to see your progression. I think I can definitely say that Hemel is fantastic at something that Gorinda talks about every week, which is celebrating the small wins. And that's something that you taught me. It's something that Hemel does a lot. I'd say kind of back in the day, taking it back to UP for a second, because the environment is such a pressured environment, in between sets, sometimes you just almost, the vision on the gym floor, and I've seen this so many times, is like clients will get off the leg press and they're almost being ushered over to the chest press. Sit down, get your dumbbells, 3, 2, 1, up, let's go. And for me, there's such a chasm in between those two movements that you have to fill with more than just, okay, let's go, come on, grab your water, ready, come on. No, that's so basic, right? And Hemel, at the end of most of his sets now, will have a breakdown, we'll have a, okay, catch your breath. How did that feel? He's been into that as well, because he'll say things like, oh, we'll ask, like, where did you feel that? How was the movement for you? Did you feel in control? All of these things are just required for the client in front of you. And one thing that I usually get back now is, that was really good. I felt that loads, and I think I did good there. Fantastic. And you know what? For me, those are that's Hemel actualizing his own ability to pat himself on the back, which is so required, so needed. You know what I mean? It's not a egotistical thing to do. Go.
What is it? It's super necessary, right?
Yeah, buddy. Super necessary. 100%. Hemel, you can speak on that better than anybody. Doing that now, like seeing your small wins, what does that do for you?
It does. It motivates me. It keeps me going, because it's hard. Like, it's hard for me. It's hard, as in, and I'm trying to say is that if I was sitting there saying that this isn't good enough, even if I've adjusted what I'm doing, it's an achievement for me, and that's what keeps me going. Even when I'm, a lot of people are different. It's saying like, right, how many sets is this? How many reps am I going to do? Am I going to do 8? Or am I going to do 12 or 10? And just getting into that zone of saying, right, completing that 12, or even doing an 8 plus 4, that's fine. As in, it just depends on where I'm at. I'm not saying that these are all the right answers, but for me, that's still an achievement. And that's where I think it goes to, is that what is it personally for you?
Yeah, that's big. That's a lesson for every single client out there, is to celebrate that a little bit better. Because let's start from like very baseline. The fact they're even doing it is a win, right? Because you're coming from not doing it at all to doing something which is guaranteed to improve your life if you just keep doing it a little bit every day. Then on top of that is, okay, paying attention to how the exercise is going and paying attention to the fact that you actually did the exercise, you did more of it, and then just again building, celebrating every little step along the way. And like you said, man, it's crucial for your motivation. In fact, it's motivation is for me, motivation and willpower, they don't exist when you're actually inspired by the thing that you're doing. If you're celebrating along the way, you don't need motivation, you don't need willpower. All you need is to remember why you're doing it and to celebrate along the way. Then when you do that, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, willpower ain't a thing, motivation ain't a thing. Like, that's what I'm quite curious about, actually. Like, if you're able to unpack that a little bit too, where you're having a barbecue, you're hosting a barbecue, but you're sitting there munching your own thing while everybody else is munching theirs. And then you're in an environment where everybody's enjoying their food and telling you you're crazy. And you're like, maybe I am a little bit crazy, but I still want to do this thing. Like, what was that like for you? Because that's something for me, and for clients, I think is really important to understand, is that the environment, how that can affect you. But because it sounds like you were really strongly connected to your why you're doing it, that it made all the difference. You didn't listen to all the naysayers and the bullshit that was going around. So just tell us a bit more about that.
So the food bit was, and I think it's going to go through a journey. So I've had issues with food where I'll binge, I'll go to bed, and I will wake up and I'll go eat that chocolate bar. It's happened, and I've had serious issues. And I think the why bit in terms of that one was when I was at UP. Like, I invested, like I was shitting it seeing Umar the next day, and if I didn't hit that framework, like as in I had my structure and I did it. But I think the other bit was in terms of when I was there in that zone of the why of why was I able to control my food intake, is I also wanted the results. I wanted those results so bad that I was like, do you know what, the food intake, the adjustment is fine. And my got to give a massive shout out to my dad in this one. He really helped me through that time. He went to Costco, got my salmon, got my chicken,
Amazing.
all my veggies, and he would buy it, go off and get it all for me. I'd cook it all. My sister and I, remember, we used to do all the containers, but it just happened. And I think because I brought everybody along the road where people saw me eat, so that's the biggest difference as well. It wasn't as if I wasn't eating. So I think whenever you're making a lifestyle adjustment, and when you start losing weight, the first thing is saying you're not eating, eat, right? And it's like, at least I showed them, look, no, I'm eating food. It's just different to you. So it's just got cauliflower, it's got green beans, it's got my veggies. I don't think I was allowed any carbs then, but it was there, and that's fine. But I think where I'm at now is that I treat food and we went through the food bit, and I think this is with Umar as well during lockdown, where he said just track everything you're eating. I think I tracked it for a couple of weeks, probably. And then I asked him, I was like, do you know what? Can you give me a diet plan that's similar to the way that we did it in UP? I looked at the diet plan, and now I think I look at it as my framework. That's me consciously knowing what 1800 calories looks like, so I can refer back to it. So if I know what I'm going to eat, 130 grams of chicken, my veggies, my rice, or whatever, I now know what that looks like. I know what good looks like. I now know what bad looks like. So I think this is the difference between now, which is being able to say, if I've eaten over, and we are going to get those times. So last night, for example, I went to my mom's house, and I no longer live with my family. I live out. I couldn't go into my mom's house and not eat her food. It's just, now I've realized, one, that's disrespectful because that's what she's done, and she's made all of that effort. I think now what I can control is how much I eat of it. what do I do in terms of it? Not make it all about the food, change the dynamics where it's actually, you don't go in and you just make it like everything is about the food that we eat. It's like, okay, how about you? How about we have a conversation? We do other things where all of a sudden the pressure of me eating, consuming that entire bit of food has gone.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will relate to this in terms of food, especially in our family household, is it's a big part of our life and it's really important to our families. But without trying to insult the other people, I still think it can be done. And it's not about turning it into a major deal. And that's how I've had to overcome it. It's not about being able to say in a massive function, I'm not going to eat. It's like, okay, try it. It's fine. It's not going to kill you. If you're going to eat a samosa, it's fine. It's when you try and eat 4, 5, or 10, that's when it's a problem. If you eat a quarter and then you just say, I don't like it or whatever, I think it makes a big difference.
100%. That's I think that's so valuable for everyone to know. Is you touched on exactly how I actually teach it to my clients as well. This is your framework. You're plugging yourself into this framework to make sure that you're making decisions that are good for you, that are serving you for the long term. And then that also means that you don't have to think about food as in this is good, this is bad. You treat it on a spectrum. You're like, I want more of this, I want less of that. But if I'm out at a function, I want to have a samosa, I'm going to eat a samosa, But how does that fit in within my framework? Well, this is probably this many calories, and this is like that 20% that I'm allowed to get away with, and the rest of the 80% is where I'm eating well. And that's so big. That's that mindset shift that most people need for themselves to be able to take care of themselves, not just during the time like you're trying to make that change, but actually for the long term to sustain that change, to sustain the results, and also be happy, healthy, and living life the way you want to live it. Is to understand it's a framework and that you have a choice within that framework, and you generally want to make the choices favoring your result that you're going for and want to keep rather than away from that. And then when you are faced with decisions like going to a family function, and it's the same with me as well. If I go back to my parents' place and I'm not eating my mom's food, she literally told me last time, because I actually brought a little bit of food back with me, and then because I was there for a week, I was like, I can't eat everything that my mom's going to make. And then she just, like, at the end of the week, she said literally, so I just went, I wasn't happy that you brought your own food. and I was like, oh shit, it just upset my mom. But the point being is, you want to learn how to eat within whatever your mom puts on your table. You can still eat it, but you just know how much is good for you and how much isn't.
I think there's always, like, if I was to be at my parents for a week, I'll do the same as you. I'll probably do the thing, and I think it's okay. I think it's just having that middle ground. It's really difficult.
Exactly.
And I think I've talked about this as well. Is that we're so entrenched to saying we must do this, or we have to eat like this, we have to do that. This person's older, absolutely. But then also now that actually what I'm doing is for me. It's completely fine if you want to actually deviate from it, but it's trying to find that middle ground of mutual respect and being able to do it to the extent where you're not going to hurt your family or your loved ones through it. I think that's quite important. And then knowing how to just probably bounce back. I think correctiveness, knowing, like, as in myself and Umar, we speak about this because generally on a Monday, if he's woken up or I've woken up for the session on time, have a training session. But the normal thing is okay, I ate bad on Saturday, but I increased my veggies intake on Sunday. I did these, and this is the corrective measures I've taken. Great.
That's it.
I'm set up for Monday to start again in terms of in a very positive way. It's not saying I'm starting Monday, and by the way, I'm continuously eating, or let that take over the way I'm going to train today. I'm still going to go in and train like as if I've eaten really well. I think it's tough. I think the food side of it, openly, honestly, it's not the easiest, and I think it's a journey. We're not blessed with. I'm not blessed with the best genes in this state. Like, I've come from a family that's fairly obese, but it's not. It's fine. It is what it is. If it's not something that I'm no longer aspiring to get that six pack, and we'll talk about what I am aspiring for. But it's within what I can control and what I enjoy within my day-to-day life.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, like there's several things there as well. As like, so let's touch like touching on the genetic component as well. That's just you're kind of showing that you are not determined. Like just because you're predisposed does not make you predetermined. You know, you can change your outcome because it's dependent on the expression of those genes. So you cannot ever lay the blame anywhere else except to take it on for yourself, right? And I want everybody to hear what you're talking about as well. Kind of like, what's your mindset around those days then? So if, say, for example, that Saturday you're like, I've overeaten or I've eaten too much of the things that I knew I shouldn't have eaten, but then you've course corrected on Sunday, is that how do you mentally approach the whole thing? Because the angle so like the angle that I'm approaching it from is with basically people thinking they've done something bad and they need to punish themselves and do something the opposite end of the spectrum, and they're never satisfied with the decision they make, so they always beat themselves up about it. And then there's also hate, there's the kind of like shame themselves and feeling guilty about it, and they keep going through that cycle. For me, that's not, obviously, I think for anybody, when you actually zoom out and break it down like that, that's not a healthy cycle to be in. But so many people find it difficult to break that. I'm wondering about what yours situation was. Was it ever like that for you, and then you just shifted along the way?
Absolutely. Like, I think you end up going through phases. Like, I continuously binged. Like, if that happened, and I would just mask it and just saying it's fine. I think I've started realizing for myself that course correction means planning and a bit of structure. So I'm not going to spoil the moment I'm in, right? Or if I'm going to end up, and I think we have it, is if I have biscuits in my cupboard, it's going to get eaten, right? It's factually, I am going to be the one that eats it. My girlfriend can eat a chocolate bar over like 3 weeks, and it'll be like little small bites. I can't do that. So one of the things is don't have it in there. Or if I have it in there, know that I am going to eat at it. I am going to pick at it. So then that's going to be so that I don't end up having that self-hate. I don't end up having that guilt over it because I did the action of bringing it into the house. Now, there's other ways of doing it where I can get a smaller packet, or I just tell someone, okay, I just give it away. So I have what I want, and then I end up giving it to either my neighbors or something that I'm satisfied with it. I think food as well, if it's a big meal or something that I've done, so say, for example, yesterday I went to my mum's house. Today I knew that at 1:30, so I was like, right, what's important? Sleep, waking up early enough, do a bit of exercise in the morning, because that will help me course correct. That's the bit that will help me course correct, because my mental state is saying that, right, if I've gone and done my sprinting, which we started doing in the morning, I'm not going to continue this bad cycle. I'm going to go back to eating my green beans and my eggs for breakfast. I won't end up doing it. So then I will just be like, all right, back to my structure, back to what I was doing, and it's course corrected. Like, what is it that triggers you to end up going back? It may be going back to the gym. It may not be. It may be just doing some yoga, something, doing your breathing exercises, something that helps you get back to saying, right, actually, let's just course correct.
That's big. That's because that's what it's about. Like, you can never expect yourself to be perfect, right? So, because if you do, you just set yourself up for failure. And instead of realizing that I'm not going to be perfect, but I have a system in place which allows me to get back on the track that I need to be on. Like, you've realized you've taken on an action, basically, which is this action. If I do this, everything else falls back into place. That's amazing. There's so much right going on here.
I feel like I said this earlier. I was gonna just like, people listening to the podcast, can we just come together and clap for a good 30 seconds?
Exactly.
Can we just give this guy a round of applause? Come on.
8 p.m. on a Thursday.
Yeah. Just clap for Hemel, man, because it's so true. It's so true, right? And this is the thing, is that there's so many ways I can go with this, but
take it.
You've just got it, man. You've just got it down. You just got it down. Like, linking it forward to who you want to be, where you want to be, why you want to be there, why it's important that we have to think about the wins we can have right now. Yes, you've fallen off the wagon, cool, but I always link it back to that book by Maxwell Maltz, which a friend of mine, Anthony Sutton, recommended to me. What's the book called again? The book is called
Cybernetics.
Cybernetics. Yeah. Hemel, you did listen to this, haven't you?
Yeah.
You're talking about the guidance missile, right? The guidance missile knows where it's going to go, knows its destination, knows where the missile has to reach. But then when it gets pulled off its course by wind, by rain, by something hitting against it or whatever, it veers off, but then it also comes on back. You need that veering off process to then realign. It's a practice in itself. It's a rep in itself. The rep is, I'm going to push you off your course. Can you course correct? You know what I mean? Like, rather than kind of, I'm going to push you off your course. I'm going to continue to spiral out of my orbit, and I'm going to crash somewhere I didn't want to be in the first place. You know what I mean? It's seeing the opportunity in the failure is everything. And this is what I'm hearing from Hemel right now, is that there's opportunities to fail. There's threats everywhere. You know what I mean? This analysis I've done on my board, which was a SWOT analysis, is strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, threats, right? And everywhere, especially if you're an Asian boy, right? Speaking from our perspective, being well fed in the home is a threat, because you get so many good repetitions with putting that spoon from here to here, here to here. You're great at it, right? But putting the spoon from here to back in the kitchen where it's to belong, you don't do any of those reps, right? And it's what's that going to form? What's that going to make us? Is it going to make us happy long term? Is it going to align us with the goal we actually have and set out for ourselves? Damn, no, it's not. You know what I mean? Like, we end up being miserable and upset, and then feeling like, you see these people that are almost upset that people around them are achieving their goals. It's like, because it highlights the fact that they're not achieving their goals. And there's too many of those in our households, right? There's too many of those kind of Asian uncles or cousins that are just jealous at you for actualizing the things you want to actualize on. And yeah, that's a sad thing. But hearing Hemel talk about all these things, it's I know that we've had these chats, but hearing it just like repeated back to me, it's like, it's just happy. It makes me super happy. And that's why I know also that you have everything within you to achieve the goals you want to achieve. You know what I mean? It's a matter of just showing up every day, and before you know it, you'll be that guy. You are that guy right now. You are, in the only capacity you can be right now, that guy. You've achieved it by showing up today, by doing the things you need to do this morning, the training, the sprints, sticking to the plan, eating correctly, course correcting from yesterday. You've ticked those boxes. You can't ping you in an oven and make you into that 40-year-old you talked about earlier. But today you are that guy. Like, in that realm, you look back on yourself and say, oh yeah, thanks for doing those things, because it's made me who I am today. And obviously I'm talking as like the 20-year-old, the 20 years from you version. But 100%. People out there listening to the gold that this guy's dropping right now. I would definitely pay attention to the one there about falling off your wagon and not beating yourself up. G talks about this again all the time. And I think subconsciously, I think I did this when I was going through my transformation, but seeing it from a client's perspective, from a different client perspective, who's not, didn't go through the things I went through, but did in his own way. It's crucial. It's absolutely crucial. Just seeing where the threats are and then dealing with them appropriately. Like you just talked about portion control when it comes to going to your parents' house. Massive, absolutely massive, because you're still not going to piss anybody off, but you're still going to have the food, but you're not going to take on a couple thousand calories in one sitting. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen. Yeah, fantastic.
It's hard, but we get there.
Yeah. That's it. It's always a process. It's always a process.
And it's fine, as in, like, and that's the point. I think it's like, this is the where remove the time factor. If you actually say that, and then eventually it's your likes and your dislikes. Like, eventually your family will get so used to you saying no or not something that I like. It's like, if there's a particular food item that you don't like, your mum doesn't cook it for you. It will just start becoming a bit of a norm. And I think that's what I've started realizing, where actually some of these things that my mum's like, oh no, Hemel doesn't eat that. He doesn't like it. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that I know that that's not what I want to eat, because I don't feel great afterwards, or it's not something that I want.
So true.
The people that you talked about who were saying, like, who would make you feel like you were crazy for a bit. It's like, are they still around, or have they changed their mind? Yeah, have they changed their mind about the whole thing?
No, I think they're all still around. I think in terms of it, I think it's now people are starting to realize that this is very self-driven. I think when people start realizing that actually you're not doing like a Weight Watchers diet or something like that, I think there's a lot more education out there why people need to get a bit healthy, why they actually need to start controlling some of their dietary needs or whatever they're doing or what goals they have, I think it's more acceptable. I think when I started this off like 4 years ago, I don't know as many people that have gone through it. Whereas I think now a lot more people are realizing that they actually need training, coaching in this space, where I think that they realize that actually, yeah, it's a good thing. Whereas I think when I was doing it 4 years ago, not very many people actually even acknowledge the fact that a personal trainer is a good thing for me, or it's something that you need. Why? You can go to the gym, you know what you're doing. And the type of thing. Whereas I think now anyone that I speak to, you know what, you got a personal trainer that's really good. A lot more people that I know actually gets it.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's good. That's good. There's that shift. That's important, because anybody who says like, "Oh, you can go to the gym, you know what you're doing," is like, I don't know what I'm doing, right? And I've been coaching people then. So what I mean by that is I'm always on a course so that I can learn the next thing, which is going to make me better. So how can anybody who isn't even involved in it ever say that they know what they're doing? So it's nice to see that change where people are starting to realize that actually, if I want to do this properly, it's better to go in with zero knowledge rather than having tried zero action, rather than having tried to do a bunch of stuff and having to correct all that kind of stuff. It's a lot easier to go in without those bad habits built in, and then actually build yourself up with that right level of guidance.
100%. I think it works well from our culture as well, because I think that culturally spending money on a personal trainer is quite a taboo thing. Like you have to. People will look at it, and I know a couple of my clients are getting this kind of feedback from friends, especially right now, friends and family, in the sense, oh wow, you must be doing good if you're able to splash the cash on a personal trainer. And well, really, it's like flip that a little bit. I might not be doing amazing, but I want to invest my money into somebody who can help me live a better life, help me, help my family, help my kids, help my future live a better life. It's like having good healthcare. You know what I mean? It's like kind of having good healthcare, but not just healthcare, health education. And this is where obviously coaches like yourself, like myself, like the coaches we've had on here, TJ, Bilal last week, investing so much in our own knowledge so we can give forward to people like Hemel, give forward to people like Sam that I've mentioned on previous podcasts, who can then go to their families and start instilling some of the teachings that they take away from personal training, not just for themselves, not like a totally personal pursuit. It's like, okay, if you actually want to get healthier, now Hemel's a beacon of light that you can go to and talk to about discipline, about training, about breaking down workouts, about understanding how to brace, about all these things. That knowledge has been exchanged. Yes, time for money, but knowledge for the rest of time. That's the trade-off here. And really, like, it's everything. You know what I mean, personally, we know about this. We'll invest in anything that gives us a bit more knowledge, because of how valuable that really is. And Hemel's the same.
Yeah, man. Knowledge is power.
It's absolutely. I think any personal trainer that thinks that they've got the answers already is someone that you probably shouldn't hire. The reason why I absolutely love training with Umar in this one, or see him less as a trainer but more as a coach, which is continuous learning, always wanting to work out, like, okay, I've learned something new the other day, Hemel, let's try it out. And that to me is success. Is trying to say that actually it's okay, we've got this relationship where he's realized that he could test me with a few new exercises because it may work with me, especially and I am the type of client he wants. I think that's really important, as in giving feedback, like what we call 360 feedback. It's like a doctor or a teacher. You're not specialists. You can't train every single person, because your brains will blow, in the sense of, if you're trying to do a pro athlete plus people like me, and say you have several clients across each one, you'd find it too difficult. So if you are a trainer, I'm saying is that you can have a spectrum. That's not a problem. But then make sure you're putting enough time, because what you have to learn in order to train me versus the pro athlete is completely different. And if you don't have that time, then you're not going to do justice for yourself either. And if you're trying to spread yourself too thin, and this is the type of stuff that I do in my day-to-day work, is in that, and how it all pieces together, you are not going to get the results or feel that satisfaction that you get. So I think when certain people come in, so last week's Bilal's one was fantastic. He's already reached which market he wants to go for, and he's going to continuously learn in order to support that market. That market might change. It might change to a different age bracket, but it will change as he goes on. And I think that's where, coming from a client as well, is that The reason why I think Umar is someone that I want to train with for a long time in terms of it is because I've got that longevity. But they may come to a point where I'm a pro athlete and he's like, Hemel, actually, I need to hand you over to someone else. That will be the day. But there's nothing wrong with it. And this is where I think actually, if especially with this group, what I'm seeing with yourself, G and Umar and listening to Bilal is you're coming to a group where you actually may end up referring clients because you'll realize that actually G's better than this than me. And there's nothing, and that to me is like a lot of respect. And that happens in the building trade. It happens in doctors as well when they do referrals, because you end up realizing that actually that this person can give better justice to you. It's not that you're trying to fob off a client, but I can't do justice. And when that starts happening, you start creating that network of trust where you start referring. I think that's also the next step in this.
Yeah, fully.
100%.
You have to know what you're about. And so just like really learn about what you're about, and then you have to know what other people around you are like as well. So if you're sorry, Brian, there's a bit of feedback from your end, Umar.
Oh
Yeah. Okay.
Trying to be as quiet as possible.
Yeah. It's what was I saying? Yeah, you got to know, because that's part of the process. Which is what was like really impressive about Bilal, which is he's only been really in the industry for a couple of years after figuring his own stuff out. But he knows what he wants to target, and he's going to get better as a result of knowing that. Because there's plenty of trainers. It's like I remember, I've asked lots of trainers, is like, who do you like to work with? No, I'll work with anyone. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't make me want to refer anyone to you though. Whereas I know what I'm about. It's like, I deal with 25 to 55-year-olds who probably have some level of back pain and want to lose 5 to 15 pounds along the way on their journey. And they just want to regain total confidence in their bodies. And it's like, oh, shit, okay, I know who I can work with for that. Then I know exactly what Umar's about. I know exactly what Bilal is about. And that really makes it so we're like, fitting the pieces of the puzzle together as well, because these guys are going to be better at dealing with certain people than I am, and then it makes life a lot easier that way.
It's also flipped as in you can also learn off each other as well, because
that's exactly
you end up doing it, is that whole thing. And I think this is where, when you're going into a gym, so say for example a mainstream gym like Virgin Nuffields or anything, and you go for a trainer that's there, they are going to get any client that walks in. That's what they've signed up for. That's the type of it. And I'm not trying to. Some people have started there, but when you start going through the journey and you start specializing as to what am I trying to achieve, what do I want to get out of it, I think that's where some real powerful outputs start coming out from you guys. Yeah. And I'm very lucky because I get the outputs in the sense of when Umar does his coaching or when he's spoken to you guys, we get to see those different training methods, and it could excel. It may not work, and we say, do you know what? I don't think that works. It's not restrictive, fine. And I think that is what, as a client, I'm looking forward to. I look forward to being able to see how can I excel on some of these different movements that I've got. How can I fix some of the movements that I find really difficult, because there are still certain challenges that I have.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. That's why we have this group right now with the Prescript group that yourself,
the Prescript brothers.
Yeah, Bilal and TJ we're all in it, and TJ is the one who constantly is like, I'm learning so much. I love being in the presence of like people that are just talking about this stuff, relaying information. Did you try this? Did you do this? Did you do that? And it's great. It's fantastic, because that's what we need more of in this industry. It's people kind of conceding straight away, realizing that we're not the finished article. We're never going to be the finished article, because that doesn't exist. Like Hemel said, like as difficult as the job is, we make it even harder for ourselves by thinking that we can do everything at all times. It's like, it's not about that. It's about kind of knowing what you do know, and then where you don't, referring out. Like, gee, you and I have worked on one of my clients together. I've worked with you on coaching. You've worked with me on coaching when I come into jiu-jitsu, and my hips are all over the place. So like, gee, help me out here, man. And you helped me out straight away. Same thing with Bilal. Same thing with a lot of these guys. And that's I think that's why we're moving forward in the way, and why the energy attracts. The energy that of conceding, the energy of wanting to have that dialogue attracts clients like Hemel, because he's like, okay, these guys are about having a chat about this stuff, rather than egotistical kind of this is the way, this is the only way, this is where we've always done it, this is where you're going to do it, this is where my son's going to do it, and his son. It's like, that's just not the way. That's just not the way. And this is why I think a lot of the dinosaurs in the industry, they're going to die out. And like, we know who those dinosaurs are. And I feel like they're currently having that hit because, and this is what becomes really, really difficult for them to understand, is because they've only ever done it one way, and they've been quite dismissive of people who start to change and start to come at things with a different approach. It makes it very, very difficult for them to change their thought processes later down the line. Whereas if we're getting those reps in after having been in the industry for a few years only, it's only going to be good things going forward.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. You've got to keep that open mind, or if not, you've got to pry it open.
Too right. So,
like you said, you're going to die.
Yeah, 100%. If we have to shift gears, Hemel, and talk about future goals, that links into crystal clear brown. So crystal clear brown is all about being crystal clear on why we are here, what we're trying to achieve, what do we want. It doesn't need to be achieved in 1 year or 3 years or 5 years or just down the line. Like, God willing, you'll get a chance to be around in 10 years time, 20 years time. What is the vision for yourself?
I think independence in the gym is definitely a vision for me personally, because it's something that I've been striving for these years. Being able to say that I can go to the gym and have that clear mind where it's not getting distracted, and that's really quite important for me. I think that plays a big factor. The second bit is actually feeling like, personally feeling stronger, feeling a bit bigger. I want to get bigger in this process, and just an overall healthier lifestyle, like for me. And it's just very personal. I want to make sure that my gut health is good. I want to make sure that my appearance is great. I want to make sure that in like the full spectrum is off a good flow. The other bit that I want to make sure is that I maintain mobility. Like, I think the hours of us working from home, as in for me, for example, my hours have increased because I'm on my chair. So making sure that I stand up more, little things like that, not about when, but trying to then be able to bring this spirit of positivity onto others. I think it's really important. So anyone that's been scared and I think that's part of the reason that I said absolutely yes for this podcast, because I'm sure there's been people like myself, a guy that's really difficult to say that I don't like sports, I don't know what to do there, and I don't know how to go into the gym. It's kind of a major feeling in terms of from someone's ego, for example. It's just, don't worry about it. You can learn if you're willing to, if you want to learn, and I continuously want to learn. I think that's what it is. I'm not sure what my body shape's going to look like, and now for the first time, I don't care.
Amazing.
Because I think it will come out the way it will because of the actual motivation I have. Now I just think less of it, and I talk about the silver fox, but it's about me actually feeling like one.
100%.
That's it. It's like all that work you put in, like the appearance is kind of, it's a byproduct of all the work you put in. You're gonna look good if you do the right work, right? So that's why you don't really have to worry about it so much.
100%. It's great to hear that, Emma, because really, what I'm taking away from what you said initially, which was, I want to have independence in the gym, and I want to be able to control my emotions in the gym, and I have control of my thoughts. Is you want independent control of your body and your mind, and that repetition is something that we should do constantly. And it's taking it back to like the Asian convention of kind of come around to the house, have a great time, sit, eat, kind of be merry. It's like, yeah, we can go and do that, but really, Hemel is running this program in the background the entire time. He's running this. I need to get the reps of saying yes, please, but only a little bit, because he has this goal in his mind. And was also going to the gym with, okay, I'm in the gym, I'm in this new setting, which is also another place where people go and sit and they be merry in a different way, and they'll take protein shakes rather than lassi, or they'll whatever, you know what I mean? But he's running the program in the back of his mind of breathe, regulate myself, think about the setting I'm in. Can I contract here? Can I feel the whole body going on? And that really is just a little microcosm of all these different processes you've got to run in your day in order for you to be from where you are now to where you want to be. And that's a great thing to think about, in my opinion, because it's constant work. It's like you said earlier, it's hard. This is not easy. To be fully aware of yourself, but then not just to be fully aware, but then to fully aware and do the damn thing. not just be aware of it and then just be, oh, yeah, I'm going to do it. Oh, yeah, it was hard today, but I didn't really get on with it. I know it's whatever. No, do it. Just actually do it, right? And
Exactly.
and this is something that TJ has really helped me with, is to see that's a massive motivator, is to be fully aware of those things, but then actually do the thing. So yeah, man, great to hear that. Great to hear that. And I think like G touched on, the work, training across the entire body, from full awareness across the entire body, the result in terms of muscle mass is inevitable, because you're putting tension across fibers. As Jordan Charlotte says it in his prescript course, you're putting tension across fibers. And now you're learning about how to do that in a lengthened range, how to do that in a shortened range, how to do that through your core, in all the multiple ways in which we can do that. And with the mobility, like that we talked about, your push-ups earlier, taking that to a really extreme range of motion where your shoulders all the way back over there, whereas in the past it would have caused discomfort and it would have caused you to definitely fall apart in the movement. Now your mind is strong because you've done that rep, your shoulders are mobile because you've done those reps, and your triceps and chest are definitely there because you've definitely done those reps. You know what I mean? We put it all together and we've moved forward, and look at the results. The results speak for themselves. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to see. Yeah, man. Yeah. So leading from there forward, guys, what is Leopard Brown all about, mate? I'm gonna put that back to you.
Leopard Brown. So, oh man, it was a vision. It was a vision that I had, or a visualization that I had while I was running on Monday. So basically, at the beginning of the week, I didn't feel like my mind wasn't in the right place. I just basically forgone doing the reps in the mindset domain, and I was feeling it. I was just feeling a little bit like mentally lethargic, a bit run down. I wasn't really kind of like connecting with like I wasn't boosted. I wasn't boosted at the beginning of the week. Basically, I didn't have a good start to the week, and and so I've been working on like doing some rehab and stuff, because I stopped running for the last 4 or 5 weeks during my stopped running for the last 4 or 5 weeks because my knee was a little bit off. And so I was like, okay, I know my hip is a little bit off, and I know my history with like, a couple of fractures in my right foot. I know that's contributing to it. So I just really hammered home on the rehab. So I just went back into running, and that felt great. So I was like, okay, good. I'm feeling like I'm back in the right spot I'm coming back stronger. Basically, I'm coming back into running. And then the great thing about running is also it's like, it's your own time to kind of reflect on things as well. So I just use it as a good time to, while I'm running, just get in my own headspace. And also the great thing about it is like occasionally you just have a little epiphany. And one of the ones that I had was I just visualized, like, because basically leopards are like, they're incredibly strong, right? They're like one of the strongest wildcats out there, because what they'll do is, they wouldn't have eaten for days, and then they go and find a kill, and then they'll drag that kill up a tree and then just keep it there, so that it saves it from other predators like other lions and cheetahs and stuff like that, because those guys can't get up a tree. So they've got their kill up in the tree, and they just basically hench, right? So they're just strong as fuck, and then they just dragged their kill up the tree and they kept it there, and then they go to feast on that kill and they feel great. And then what I felt like was,
Has G frozen on you as well?
Yeah, he'll come back. I think he'll come back. He'll pop into life, unless he's got kicked out again. Oh, here he goes.
Here we go. Is everyone back?
Yes, sir. Carry on your story about your leopard on the tree, bro.
Yeah, sorry, man. It was so I felt like with my mindset, I hadn't been on it, so I needed to bring myself back onto it, and I felt like I was that leopard just fucking dragging his mindset back up that tree, and that's it. Just basically, I was inspired by that image. I was inspired by it doesn't matter how weak you feel. It doesn't matter if you haven't had if you've had days worth of not eating. You're going to take that kill and you're going to take it up that tree. You have to. There's no other way around it. And when you do, you feel nourished, you feel good, you can just chill on that tree, right? So the image for me was like, I've just got to drag my ass back up to where I need it to be. And then if I do that work, I'm going to feel good for it. So that's where the name came from, because I was just feeling a bit a bit all over the place with my headspace and where I needed to be to really execute and feel good about where I am, and do the best for my clients and all that kind of stuff. And it was basically because I just forgotten doing the necessary doing the necessary mindset work, and then I brought myself back into it, and I just felt good for the rest of the week. I felt like that leopard just up in his tree.
Oh man, love it. That's definitely something that can help a lot of people, man. Just to check yourself almost when the mindset isn't in a place where you want it to be. What do you attribute to strength and to mental fortitude? And for you, it was that leopard. And I seeing that vision. And I think I'm right in saying this. Like, the strongest biting force in the whole animal kingdom is a leopard. Like, they can legit like crush like.
Maybe out of cats. I think crocodiles have the strongest. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but yeah, no, they're fucking vicious, man.
Yeah,
those guys, they're amazing.
So I'm going to use that question on Hemel now. So, Hems, when your mindset isn't quite where it needs to be for you to achieve that goal that you outlined for yourself, is there anything in particular that gets you back on the path? Let me leave it open-ended like that.
Ooh. I think it's the long-term goal of why am I in this? What is it that I want to achieve from this? And I think it's always reminding myself that it's not short-term. This is a lifetime change. It's not there's no quick wins to this, and I just have to rectify to myself. It's okay. Look at where I was this time 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I couldn't even do the press up or something, or if depending on where it is. And just taking that moment of saying, right, what is it that I'm here for, and what's my long-term achievement? And am I still slowly progressing? So it's just getting that moment back into it.
Preach.
Preach. That's the one. Having that awareness, right? That long-term awareness. Yeah, for sure. And then you can like we haven't talked about the three A's in a while, but you've made me think about it again. The awareness, alignment, and action. I mean, you remember why you're here. You become aware of all the things around you that are currently moving you toward or moving your way, and that links into aligning with best practices, aligning with best people, aligning with best habits, and then just acting on those things daily. You know, I mean, that's why I like those three in unison. It was funny. Like, I had a conversation with my brother-in-law this week, and we were talking about that story about the two wolves. The one where I'm just going to tell the story if people haven't heard it. There's a child talking to a grandparent, and the grandparent tells the child about two wolves that exist in all people. There's a wolf which is about jealousy and greed and pessimism and anger, violence for no reason, and kind of these things that we don't necessarily like, and maybe kind of about a depressive attitude. And all those things. And there's another wolf which is about kind of hope and about persistence and strength, courage, kindness, all of these things. And the kid asks the grandparent, which wolf wins? Like which one comes out on top? And the grandparent says, well, it's the one that you feed, and you feed it with your thoughts, you feed it with your actions, you feed it with everything you can feed the wolf with. You can feed it with thinking, oh, okay, I can't quite do this today because, I've got this problem, I've got that problem. Well, then you're feeding the wolf of excuses, right? Sometimes yes, there is genuine things, but can we find a way around that? Well, then you're feeding the wolf of problem solving. You know, I mean, that wolf is going to win. You know, that's a simple way of thinking about this. And I think breaking it down for yourself and seeing where you're going to have those days. They're going to come around. G's going to have those weeks again. I've had those weeks. Hemel's going to have those. Everyone listening to this is going to have that. But when you're doing that, realizing you're going through that rep of figuring out your own medicine, you're figuring out your own solution to the problem. And Hemel talked about kind of in line with the long-term vision. For me, it's about putting Spotify on, listening to some Whitney Houston, dancing a little bit, and just feeling good. Like Whitney Houston, right? I'll put my Spotify on right now. I don't care, right? It's literally about Shakira when I was in the shower, man. I don't care. This is legit, like about feeling good. Just feeling good about sometimes about moving. You know what I mean? Just like moving your feet, moving yourself in a way that feels that makes you align with my best self. My best self is one where I'm not sat still. I'm not kind of glum. I'm not moving my feet slow. No, it's moving my feet quick. It's moving my head. It's kind of getting into some shadow boxing, getting into some quick thoughts. Maybe looking at some exercise physiology stuff, something that I'm interested in. And bang, I'm realigned. Bang, I'm back on my game. You know what I mean? Bang, I want to help somebody. Bang, somebody out there whose work I need to get on. There's somebody out there who I can message, and all of a sudden, well, okay, we're burning on all the cylinders again, and that's it. That's as simple as it can be sometimes. Just put some Whitney Houston on people. World will be better.
That's amazing. Is there a song of hers, or is it just?
Oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna find it. I'll put it on my spot. I put it on my Instagram a couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago. Right? There's two songs that like really get me charged. I'm gonna find it.
You gotta send it to me, because you got a good record of sending me some tracks to get me jacked up. This is the one time where I'm like, I'm not sure about this.
No, man, keep that faith. Yeah. So there's.
I'll keep it.
People out there about to be like, I'm judging you right now hard. So there's do you know how this comes up? Say again, bro.
I think everyone's just confused. How can you just flip to Whitney Houston to this? I think that's what it is.
Yeah, man. Exactly.
So it's pretty clear right now.
You know when you go on Spotify like this. So this is Whitney Houston's page, right? When you scroll down, you have like the suggested songs. I didn't even know this is one of her songs, but the fifth one on there is called "How Will I Know." But that definitely gets me pumped, right? Gets me pumped. Proper chick flick song, right?
Oh man.
And then there's
yes, the other side to Umar that we are finally learning about.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. There's another one which I put on my Instagram the other day. I can't remember what the name is, but it's another one that's a great tune. I'll link it. I'll send it to G, and we can have it on our Instagram page over this podcast for sure. The sponsor of the podcast.
Yeah,
that's it. So yeah, just sponsor realigning. So yeah.
Oh man, that's amazing. That's freaking amazing. I love that. I gotta listen to that. That's the first thing I'm doing when we're done is for listening.
Yeah,
yeah. I've already got mine ready as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna be synced.
Our videos of both of you dancing to it after this is done. We're gonna post that up, and people are gonna feel good as a result, and they're gonna have a great Sunday. That's the plan.
I'll hook you up, man. You have no idea. You're gonna see some moves, bro. You're gonna see some moves.
Love it. Yeah, that's as simple as it is, guys. You know, like last week,
exactly.
Sister sent some feedback to the podcast, and she was saying like, "You're definitely my brother," because you quoted about 4 Disney movies, and sometimes a Disney movie is all I need. Like a Disney movie, like I put on Lion King is my Disney movie, right? That really just feels the connection with the story, the like father-son dynamic. I have that strong within my own personal life, but I'm sure you guys have your own versions of that. But there's a clip where Simba's he's roaming around and Rafiki finds him. You know, when he finds him and he smacks him with the stick and he's like, "You wake up, man! What are you playing at?" And he shows him his dad, right? He shows him in the pool. He's like, he lives in you, right? And that I have that on my YouTube and I have it saved in my saved files, and it just charges me up to the max. Every time I listen to it, every time I see it, and every time like the music kind of kicks in at the end of it, and he runs back to where he needs to go. Basically, he's realigning. He's realigning his own path, right? Exactly. And that's what Simba doing it. And it's such a that's probably the first expression of realigning that I remember being exposed to as a kid. Now I think back to it, like that's big screen, great Disney movie, all these happy dancing, like laughy animals. But then really, there's a deep story about falling off your path, meeting some friends along the way who help you align with a path, but maybe it's not the path. You know, I mean, Jordan Peterson talks about this all the time. Like he meets his mates that they're cool, but it's not the thing. Like he's a king, he's a lion. Like he has to go back and face his demons, and that's what Rafiki helps him do. Like in the night, shows him his real path, and that's it. He's off. Like he knows what he needs to do. So yeah, that's. I'm glad you chose that name, bro, because it let me go on that massive spiel about Lion King and Whitney Houston. There you go.
That's amazing. It's like get jacked from wherever you can, right? It's like, yeah, that's the thing. It's like it just came to me, for example, with my one, like the whole leopard thing. I was like, I just remember seeing again something from like Nature is Metal, and it's just dragging its kill up to a tree. I was like, that's what I feel like right now. I'm just dragging my ass up so that I can nourish myself. This is what I'm doing, and then I want to. Like that's a good image for me to have as well. Like another time, talked about, okay, I used the word strong is another thing. And I've got it's like if you can ground yourself in lots of different ways to bring yourself back to the level you need to be at. Music is a big one as well, for sure. Like having a bunch of songs which you're like, that's got me jacked up again. I'm ready to go. It means something to you. There's just what you described. Like obviously E.T., everybody want to be a beast. It's like that's not Hemel. Have you been exposed to that? Yeah.
Oh, I never knew that, bro. I never knew that.
Oh right, I thought you would have exposed him to it.
No, not yet, man. Hemel find it on his own.
Oh, amazing.
Wicked.
Does it do the same for you that it does for us?
Of course it does.
Oh man.
I need to see some of your playlists now. So I think, G, you need to send me yours. Umar, I need to send you yours.
Sure.
Mine. We share our playlist for sure.
Hell yeah.
I apologize in advance because mine is going to be all over the place. Right, you're going to go from. I'll tell you right now. You're going to go from Atlas by Metallica or Atlas Rise by Metallica to like Mulan. Like the soundtrack to Mulan. That the undulation in my thing is going to be all crazy, but it's legit. It's honest. I'll give you that.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. That's wicked. I've literally I've got a soundtrack just called Awesomeness. That's it. It's just a playlist, and it's just the same sort of thing, man. I've just got a bunch of tracks on there. Like that gets me in the right vibe. It's like there's that geeky part of me which also wants to split it up into this is what gives me the dopamine rush and this is what gives me the serotonin feels. Like the ones where I feel like, oh, I'm in the good, I'm in the here and now. This is like me appreciating the here and now. And here's the dopamine ones which are like these are making me move forward. You know, these are my tracks that drive me forward. And should split them out like that as well.
Too right. That's a great way. I didn't think about that because that is exactly what my podcast, what my Spotify is like. The rage of like listening to Disturbed, where you kind of the switch just goes and it's like, okay, like I'm gonna bend this barbell now, or it's the I'm just happy go lucky. I'm listening to Tarzan. I'm listening to Hakuna Matata from
your Disney playlist.
Yeah, exactly. That duality. That's a great way of breaking it down, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, it's what gets you going, Hemel?
I've actually started listening to more instrumental music, so to calm me down. So I'm a big Bollywood fan as well. So and I have no problem admitting it. And I would actually listen to it without words. And that's especially with my breathing, running as well. And that's really changed a lot. I'm a massive reggaeton fan as well. So when I will always like put on a lot of like reggaeton when I'm starting to, especially when running.
Yeah, cool.
Love it, man.
I also have to realize that sometimes when I put on music or too much or the wrong music, I just have to turn it off because I will lose and distract myself. So my mind starts wandering again. So I'm like, no, listen. I actually hear Umar's voice in my ear sometimes. That's funny. Especially
that's proper coaching right there.
That is proper coaching. Trust me, it's hearing Umar's voice in your ear even when he's not there.
That's hilarious.
I'll tell you, actually, this is what inspires me. So when I've been working out recently, there's a couple of things, right? One thing is like I'm getting to the point where I feel like I'm not going to say I'm doing a push-up. I've got a band around me, so I'm doing a little bit of like banded resistance push-ups. I'm training at home. I've got nothing, no equipment, right? So I'll do the push-up, and I'm starting to get to the point where I feel like I'm not going to lift again. So there's a couple of things I do. One of them is like I tell myself it's not going to get any worse. Like the burn is going to stay the burn, right? So that's number one. Then the second thing is that video that Umar posted when he was dieting down from when he was at UP, right before he was going to do his photo shoot, and he was front squatting and he had nothing in the tank, but he was just going, the whole movement. That is actually in my head. That actually gets me through, right? I'm not joking. I've used, and that's just somehow it came into my mind, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm just going to bust this one out.
Mine is probably like Umar telling me, slow down. 1001 1002 and I'm like, how long am I going to be in this for? And then, but it does motivate you. That course corrects when you're actually in there and you're like, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get to it, I'm going to get to 8, I'm going to get to 12. I
love it.
That is definitely what plays in my head.
We've both got Umar in our head, man.
That is too funny. Yeah, man. You know, at the end of it, just find a way to get through. Whatever scratches that itch and moves you through the door when you need to get through, right? Keep it in mind. Just go for it, man. That's wicked. That's wicked. I think Hemel's example of listening to classical music is massive. I think this is such a thing that gyms get wrong.
Is it classical or just instrumental?
So it's instrumental. But it's classical. It's all like classical instrumental. But
cool.
The reason being is I have realized that I need to be calm. Like if I get myself too hyperactive, I'll end up literally dancing in the dance floor, and I'll be sitting there like bopping my head around.
I've seen that, mate.
Yeah, and then, like, I need that. Like, you know how Umar gets when Whitney turns on, right? It's that's what I need. I need to actually be literally into the zone of what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Cool.
And especially when I'm starting off and I'm trying to do my breathing or my free breathing, that's really important because that's where I think my mindset starts getting framed. I'll probably know that how my session's going to be based on like some of my breathing exercises.
Yeah, definitely. That's that's very salient. It's very insightful. There's a couple of playlists. I don't know if you've come across them on Spotify. One's called Ambient Relaxation, and another one's called Music for Concentration. So if and they're like, yeah, some classical music, some different vibes as well, but it's just basically the kind of thing that you're describing where you feel like you need to be calm and relaxed. I use ambient relaxation before like bedtime, like half an hour before bedtime, especially if I feel like I've not got that buffer where I've been a bit too busy in my mind and I need to calm myself down a little bit. I'll just play that. That's really cool. Music for concentration. You're in the city as well, I think, but I basically live right off a main road, and there's just fucking roadworks going all the time. There's just people honking their cars. It's just mad levels of noise, and it just bugs me because I need quiet, and then that kind of helps me drown it out, and then actually does help me get in the zone a little bit.
If you
Yeah.
dubstep is phenomenal. Like when you're trying to get into it, try some of that, even at the gym as well. Dubstep, especially when the music goes up and down and you hear the bass in it, it's just a different level. And I feel you. Like I've got train tracks behind me on the side of me. So you're just trying to get that out, and it's irritating because you want the window open and stuff, and you can't.
Yeah, exactly, man.
It's a good shot. And definitely that's something that commercial gyms get wrong so bad. Is that I'll go to the place that I work at right now, and the gym's fine, everything is good, but you're listening to some girl on the radio talking about how she's not going to take back her man, and he ain't shit. And it's like, what is this? What am I listening to right now? I'm trying to do some squats right now. This is not what I need to be thinking about. And no one questions it. I swear yesterday there was a tune which was like, and nothing against any kind of faiths or religions, but it was like a Christian band on the actual loop, and I was like, what is this? Like, I would have said the same thing if it was a Muslim band. I don't care. Like, but it was just not the time or the place. Like talking about just how much we love the Lord, and I was like, really right now? No, never the time in the gym to be. I'm all about giving thanks and stuff, but maybe not right this very second.
That's hilarious.
Play to the speakers. Yeah, music's huge, man. Music's huge. I'm sure. Is there much of a link, G, that you know of with music and the Mr. Neuroscientist? What's his name? Huberman. Is there much of a link in regards to what centers of the brain, how that works? Any information on that?
That's a good question. I haven't heard Huberman talk about it much. It's something I looked into a little bit in the past, but not entirely. Yeah, I haven't got like a clear answer for like why it's such a big thing for us. Like why is music so? Because the three of us are talking about different things. You're talking about Whitney Houston. Hemel's talking about like dubstep and like instrumental music. I'm talking like I've got Metallica as well. Like I know you've got the range as well, but like the things that stood out for us. There's different things that are helping us to get in the state that we need to execute things from.
Arousal,
so there
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, like state of arousal. Like there's certain things that get us into state of arousal. So for example, in a lot of gyms, you will know that the beats that they use is at least 130 beats per minute. So there's something about so when it's at least 130 beats per minute, the idea is to make sure that you are operating at that level. You'll notice it at let's say, where's a good place? There's certain kinds of like cafes or restaurants. If they're super busy, they'll probably play some music louder, and they'll play it at they'll have faster paced music, so people are more in and out than if they're doing it than if they want people to stick around for a long time, right? If they want people to be there for 4 or 5 hours versus if they want people to be getting through the area quickly. So there's that. There's other things about music as well, because it has an effect on how we pass time as well. So if we've got something that is 130 beats per minute again, let's just say, or if we got something that gets us into that state which makes us a bit more amped up, it makes time feel like it goes faster, versus something like the ambient relaxation playlist. The music is a lot more chilled out, it's a lot slower paced. That's going to make you feel like things are slowing down. So that's how music can influence you for being in a certain state of mind as well. So because of the effect it has on your ability to pass time, some things can make you feel like time moves fast, some things make you feel like time moves slow. If you're feeling impatient, go start listening to some chilled out music. If you like I use the ambient relaxation playlist to get myself chilled out before I go to bed, because if I've been, like, let's say Jordan Shallow, for example, a million miles an hour for one whole hour, right, when he's talking and there's a bunch of stuff that we want to break down. And if you've watched a movie, like I rewatched Inception last night, for example. Like, I hadn't seen it for several years. Incredible film, right? But it's also, because it's so engaging, so mentally engaging, is like you need to do something that will at least bring you down from that level. So one of the things that I use is music for that. And so that's one way we can look at music, which is how it influences our ability to pass time, which also influences our ability to get a stress state or bring ourselves into a relaxed, calm state.
Love it. Dropping the knowledge, man. Dropping the knowledge. You mentioned Inception. Hemel, have you seen Inception?
I've seen Inception, yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard of this new movie that's out, Tenet?
Don't say anything about it. If anybody's watched it yet, don't say a thing.
Okay. I watched it 2 days ago, so I won't say anything.
Oh, damn. Shh.
Okay.
Quiet, man. I'm not going to get a chance to watch it probably till next week, in a week, maybe in a week a bit time.
You're looking forward to it?
Yes. Yeah. Like, with Nolan movies especially, you just don't want to know anything about it first.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch Parasite?
No,
I didn't watch that.
Oh, mate, it's a Korean film that won all the 12 Oscars, or I can't remember which side of Korea, but I watched that again, actually. I've watched it 3 times.
Wow.
Phenomenal movie. Guys,
what's it about?
Everything. It's got I'm telling you, I so many people ask me this, right? But again, it's one that you have to concentrate. It's not in English, but it goes up in levels where you're just like, oh my god, like you guys have to watch it.
Okay.
Brilliant movie. And just it deserves winning 12 Oscars, or the number it did.
God damn.
However much it won, it should have won more.
Yeah.
Pardon?
However many you won, it should have won more.
It should have won more. As in when you start realizing that actually this is a Asian movie that's come out, like this is how movies should start being built. Like it's phenomenal.
Okay.
It shows everything, rich, poor. It's got Let me know when you guys watch it, and anyone else listening, just watch the film Parasite. If you've got the patience to be able to watch something that's in a different language, then you'll definitely enjoy it.
And if you haven't got the patience to watch me in a different language, work on that shit, because that's needed. Right? There's an exercise of patience for you there. So you're killing 2 birds with one stone. Get entertained and flexing your patience muscles.
Exactly. Get them hinged up.
Yeah.
Definitely go check that out.
Do you guys remember what you think about Inception? Like, what was the feeling you got when you finished watching it?
So go and get it.
No, you go first.
Oh, okay. I remember sitting in the cinema hall and verbally out loud saying, "Fall," because it's sitting top, right? I remember saying it like just being there, being so entranced by the film that I verbally out loud. I never speak in cinema halls; it's rude, right?
Yeah.
But I actually said "fall" a few times, like actually out loud, because I was like, "Come on, this guy's been to like everyone's dream and back, and he still could be living a dream, right?" So spoiler alert, by the way. Apologize. That was my honest reaction at the end of the film.
Oh, I was just still in shock. Like, I couldn't still understand it. I actually had to watch it twice to get it through, and fully digest it. But I couldn't get it. But I get what you mean by saying "fall."
Yeah. How about yourself, G?
Man, it was I just watched it last night, and I think I hadn't seen it for about at least 3 years before I watched it again last night. So, because the movie's 10 years old now, so I mean, like, don't worry about the spoiler alert. If anybody ain't seen Inception by now, it's like, that's on you. You gotta watch that movie. It's crazy. It's 10 years this year. In 2010 it came out. But yeah, it was like it's mad. It's mad. The first time I watched it, it was cinema experience, and leaving, I was trying so hard to understand like what was going on. Like, you just my brain was just in overdrive, like what is going on, what is going on, what is going on. And then it was the second time I watched it, I was like, okay, now I can like experience it for everything else as well. So and then again, watching it last night is just masterful, man. It's just, he's so good. Like, it's just so good at it. It take this like a blockbuster. It's a blockbuster movie, which is highly cerebral and is telling a story about guilt, loss, love, acceptance, redemption, and what else is there? Like, and it's like, subconscious mind. So it's like, some seriously intense delving into the possible like psychology of it as well. So there's just like so much of this stuff which is like a lot of people you can resonate with, and it's just amazing. And what's interesting for me is when they explained the whole idea of the totem, and if because like Nolan's just too smart. He just doesn't leave anything to like a chance in a way. It's like you have your own interpretations, but it's almost like he knows everything, every possible way that you could possibly interpret a movie. Like let's juxtapose that with another movie, which is that Chris Hemsworth movie that came out on Netflix, the action movie. I don't know if you guys watched it, I can't remember the name of it now, but he's a mercenary. And the director just goes, because there's a scene at the end, right? You basically don't know whether he's alive or dead. And then the director just came out, everybody's like, ask him, what do you think of this? He's like, well, he's basically saying if the audience like the ending, then great, we'll leave it as it is. And, he doesn't come back. If they don't like the ending, then we'll make a second one. It's like, what? It's like, to me, it's like kind of just have your own sense of what you think it should be. Like, like your own artistic purpose. But Nolan always feels like he just knows everything, right? So with the whole idea of the spinning top, and when it like we're wanting it to fall, but if you think about how Arthur, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, explained it to Ariadne, how the significance of the totem, it doesn't actually tell you that if it stops spinning, that he's not in his own dream. So the way he's described it is, you have this thing, the weight of your own, like he knows the weight of his own loaded die. The weight of your own totem, because you don't want anybody else to experience the weight of it, so that that you're not in someone else's dream. That's how he said it. And then so when you look at and when you watch the end, and we were all thinking, let's let it drop. We want his reality. We want this to be real for him. But just because it drops doesn't necessarily mean he's not in his own dream. So there was like that kind of stuff, and it's just like just watching it again was like, all right, yeah, there's so many different ways you could potentially interpret how it ends, and I don't think it's a way that any of those ways have not been thought about as well, which is amazing. And just like the technical feat of it when they're doing the fighting, the anti-gravity in that like the box that they built for people, it's just incredible. Like all of it is just it's just amazing.
Getting flashbacks to the movie now. I haven't seen it in a while. But I'm getting flashbacks, but I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to your reaction when you see the new movie. That's quite interesting. Yeah. I like how organically we've just kind of developed this movie segment at the end of our podcast. It's happened for the last couple of movies, last couple of episodes, I think. And exactly. In my opinion, it fits. Maybe it sticks around. 15 minutes at the end, just talk about movies because we like it. Yeah,
that's it. Exactly, man. Actually, tell us Crystal Clear, bro. What's that about? You didn't fully go into it.
Oh, I discussed it earlier. I discussed it earlier with Hemel. It was basically crystal clear to be fully in on where you want to be in the future. Fully crystal clear on where you want to be in the future.
Okay. Now I'm crystal clear on crystal clear.
Crystal clear about
and that's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah.
There we go.
We're losing you slightly, Umar.
It's kind of are we back? Okay. I'm up.
Here we go.
How's that? Are we on?
Okay. Yeah. We're back.
Nice. Yeah. That was the thought process behind it. It was basically a conversation I had with my brother-in-law, and we were just talking about where we both want to be and current opportunities that we have to get there. And but it all really starts with where are you going, and then it stems into I was gonna have my name as Feed the Wolf Brown, because that was going to be the right wolf that we want to kind of feed. But I thought, okay, it has to start with the vision. If you don't have the vision, then you don't really know which wolf is the right wolf to feed. So it's the vision that dictates everything. And once we have that clear in our minds, we can then go forward and realize, okay, am I being effective right now for the things that I want to achieve? Or is something pulling me away from that vision, making me feed the wrong part of myself, which is inevitably going to grow into something that I don't know whether I can control or whether I'll lose myself in. And that probably links in a bit to Inception. So losing yourself in your own dream, without being fully aware and fully present as to where you want to be. So yeah, that's the thought process behind my name, Crystal Clear Brown. Not quite as deep as Bubblebutt Brown, but I mean, it's getting there. It's getting there.
We're gonna have we'll have Hemel on in 10 years' time. It'll be Silver Fox Brown.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's the vision. Crystal clear vision. That's it.
That's the crystal clear vision in 10 years exactly. 2030. That's when we're gonna have Hemel back as Silver Fox Brown.
Love it. Love it. There he goes.
We gotta keep going until then, man.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. 10 years of podcast. Can you imagine that? We'll be definitely on. We'll have Joe Rogan on. We'll be on Joe Rogan. Easy. It's gonna happen.
However, it'll be knocking on our door. He'll be like, guys, can I come in yet? Like, hang on, man. We've got a backlog of guests.
Yeah, sure. Hemel's got to be on first. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. You gotta stay true to the roots.
Yeah.
Too right. Any kind of closing words, Hemel? Anything that you wanted to say that you haven't said up until now? Doesn't have to be closing words, just words that you want to share with people.
I just think like I've come on this to be a bit honest. Things were a bit all over the place, but I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to share some of the journey that I went through. If anyone ever wants to go a bit deeper into some of the stuff, then give the feedback back, and I have no problem in coming on again. But I'd like to thank you guys deeply. One, it's kind of nice to also share what I've gone through. I don't think I've ever put it into a structured way. So it was really good. And it was absolutely great speaking to you both. And I'm looking forward to the next 10, 20 years as we get to know each other, because the whole point of this is that you build more and more people that you're around your network, around the people that support you. And I'm really looking forward to the changes that you're going to bring into my life and the changes that is going to happen to you guys. So looking forward to what comes. So thank you very much.
Respect, man. No, we appreciate you being on, man. Thank you for taking the time as well. Thank you for sharing your journey, because I think it's super helpful for people to know what it's like from not just working with us, but just what the process is about. You know, it's like, I think you've embodied it perfectly. I think like just the way you've described it, you've had that very growth mindset approach to taking on the changes that you need to take on to live the life that you want to live, and that's super powerful, man. So appreciate you sharing that.
Great.
Umar Brown.
You're definitely not crystal clear, I tell you that much right now.
Yeah, exactly. He's done. He's gone. So, no, that was great. So for everybody tuning in, thank you very much once again for listening. I really appreciate you tuning in. Please share the podcast as well for people who need to hear this kind of journey and want to make their own kind of changes as well, because it's always nice to hear when somebody else has gone through what you probably need to go through and know that it can be accomplished and know that it can be done. And there's always people who are going to be looking out for you to be able to achieve that as well. And those people are us. So yeah, please feel free to share. Feel free to subscribe to the podcast as well, so you get the updates and you get to tune in every week. And yeah, we're looking forward to the next episode.
Nice. Thanks, guys. Signing off.